Listen here, it is Thursday. And as you can probably tell by the back of her head, we do have Cheyenne is going to always be in the picture today. So just enjoy the view. And once in a while, just make sure you turn around, Cheyenne, and say hello inside the camera. That's close,
I have this other one.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
I'm
good.
assuming you do. At some point, we're going to see that.
Okay,
So, all right. Well, just in case you didn't know, wherever there's a Cheyenne, there's got to be a Will.
Well, there you go. At least at work, yeah.
Will Mize-Gades, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So Cheyenne Sprouse, Will Mize-Gades, Redfish Inspections here with us today. Now, Will's feeling a little under weather.
A little bit, yeah.
But yet you still went and did your extreme workout this morning.
No, I did not.
You did not.
No, there's no way I could have.
No, I say
There's
good for you.
breathing required for that.
I say it's good for you, because really I was feeling kind of bad about myself, because I get to see your post when I wake up at 8 or 9 in most days. And
What? It's like I've already been at work for 4 hours.
Whatever. You get up, and what you do is you get up, go outside, and it's pitch black. You take a picture and go, "Oh, cardio's killing me." That's
And
what
then
you
go back
do.
to bed.
Then you go back to bed. We know what's really
See,
going
the cool
on
thing
there.
with Houston, it's so muggy that you just walk out, you're sweaty. Yeah, it
It
looks
counts.
like you actually worked out.
It does work out. Now let's talk about the weather.
It's crazy.
It is so bipolar, but I guess that's one of the things I love. Like during the day, it's beautiful, and it would make a great nighttime temperature. Like a night, that's what I like. The nice cooler nights. It doesn't have to be as cold as it's been lately. And again, if you're not listening from the state of Texas, you're probably thinking cold. What could cold be? For us, it was in the 50s.
Oh, that's cold.
Yeah, it was in the 50s last night, so you got to be careful with that. But the days have been beautiful, beautiful temperature-wise. Nice to be out, makes you feel good and refreshed.
And it's been dry. And so that helps a lot.
That
Whether
does.
it's cold or hot, if it's dry, it feels a lot better.
Yes, it does. And what's your take on that, Cheyenne?
I've enjoyed it. It's the first spring break in a while that it hasn't been crappy. So we went out to eat and sat on the patio at Jimmy Changa's last night, and it was nice.
You know what? I can't get, for the life of me, I think I can only remember eating on a patio or outside maybe twice since I've lived in Texas.
Oh, really?
With my wife and family. We'll always go to a restaurant. We always do something like that. And they'll go, "You want to sit outside?" And I'm thinking, yeah, I would like to. But my wife, absolutely not.
I love it.
She's like, "I don't want bugs. I don't want," she doesn't want anything. She's like, "No, I'll just take this," So I don't think it's a rare occasion where she'll go, "Oh, I'll have sympathy on you and let's do it." And the whole time she's waving at things,
Temperature-wise, it's been nice. There hadn't been too many
It has
mosquitoes,
been.
so
I love her to death, and or else I wouldn't have been there 30 years. It wasn't like a jail sentence or anything. But maybe we need to explore that outdoor dining.
Gil Hooley's. Go
yeah.
sit out and eat some oysters.
I can't get her to Gil Hooley's because, well, she knows it's a dive. But me and
It's
my
the best
youngest,
dive.
oh boy, we just love the oysters of the boudin balls.
Yep.
Oh, those are
amazing.
good. Speaking of my wife. And I'm going to bring this up just because she texted me, because you got to figure it's important when your wife texts you, especially when she should be at work. Well, maybe not.
Or you're on the radio.
Yeah, or you're on the radio. She texts me and, she goes, "The trash still wasn't picked up today."
Okay.
What am I supposed to do? It's not like they just purposely didn't do our house. Our next door neighbor's trash is still there. The people across the street, they're running behind. Granted, I was thinking we probably need to complain because this is happening a lot with this new company, but the cities are in charge of that. Most cities are in
Were
charge
you
of that.
Friendswood?
Yeah, what about it?
I was just wondering who your trash service is through. Ours is through the city, and sometimes they don't pick it up until like 8 o'clock at night.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I don't care, really when Wednesday is our big pickup day. So, my wife had an old bureau out there and stuff like that was just old and ragged. But I guess it was just a big thing. She's like, "Hey, they're not picking it up." And
Oh, yeah, if you're paying for it.
Let me call somebody. I don't know what does she want me to do about it. So
You should
if
have
you're
the city
listening,
manager's cell phone on speed dial.
that's it. And you feel helpless. What I'm coming to is that don't put your spouse in a spot where they're just helpless. You don't want to feel. You don't want to feel
She
helpless.
set you up for failure. She's going to hang it over
I
your
completely
head.
failed it. So all day today, I'm going to be a failure. Thank goodness you guys are here to back me up and just.
Hey, John, you're
make me look
awesome.
good.
You know what? Right now, city manager Friendswood. we go.
There we go. Cheyenne.
We're going to call them online.
Cheyenne's
right there.
getting me numbers. All right, folks. So if you know anything about our shows with Redfish Inspection, the first thing you should know is that this is an international show.
Yes, it is.
And Will by now, or well, he's going to be checking, but Will normally sends out alert all over the world.
Yep. Because I'm an international man, apparently.
International man of mystery and cold symptoms, apparently. So the reason we do that is because, well, I want to kind of give you a little background on what type of person the guy is who started the company. It's not only about the people he brings on board, like Miss Cheyenne Sprouse over here and his inspectors and his office team, but it's also about the knowledge that he brings to the game of inspections. And, it's been a while since we kind of recapped that. So really, let's take because he has a cold and is a little under the weather. I figure why not make him talk through it? Maybe he'll forget all about it. All right. So, Mr. Log Home Builder.
Yes.
That's how it all started for you.
No, it all started when I was born and raised in France. That's
Well,
where it all started.
That does start in France. Okay. So we should preface this to say that he did not come out with little measurement tools and just the eye for inspection when he was born.
No.
That's would have been gross. But you kind of I'm just
on a
throwing
roll
it out.
today.
I'm just throwing it out there. Well, you're the one who went back to birth. I mean, I wasn't going to go back to the birth of things, but let's go a little bit forward there.
Uh-huh.
In the housing type of area and arena.
Yep.
Did it start with the log homes, or did it? I forget. Did it start with something a little bit before that?
No, it started with log homes. My background education is construction management, but in concrete, so bridges, tunnels, things like that. And the quick story is my parents have a tourist complex in France that's made out of log houses. And when the Finnish company that my dad bought the log houses from saw this opportunity to develop a business in France, he asked my dad. My dad said, nope, but my son's in school and he might be interested. And so
Wow.
My condition was I wanted to graduate and then go do an internship in Finland and then come back to France, start the business, and pretty much building, selling log homes all over France. And France is very bureaucratic, and you've got to have a lot of different nonsense degrees, diplomas, certifications, and things like that in order to just start a business. And according to them, with my the equivalent of a BS in construction management, because it wasn't in wood construction, they would not allow it to happen. And so they told me I have to either go back and work for a company for 3 years, get the experience, or go get a lower certificate in carpentry.
I like how you say a lower certificate.
Yes,
It's in
because
carpentry. So all you carpenters out there,
No,
someone's
absolutely
sticking. No,
not.
just kidding.
No, but that was a pretty funny situation.
Yeah.
It blew my mind and my dad's mind away because we're like, wait a minute, he's got more education, and yet you're telling him he's got to get something different. So
Yeah.
So in the end, my 3-month stint in Finland turned into 3, almost 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's when I met my wife and decided to just forget about Finland. Actually, no. I wanted to stay in Finland. She said, forget about Finland.
I was going to say, she's the one who brought you to America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Love.
Absolutely. I had always said that I'd move across the world for my wife, and I literally did. So there you go.
Yeah, you're romantic, right?
Well, not according to her.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Jay and Lori last week. Jay Kopic, Lori Kopic. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. We were at an event, and I love the idea of romance, and this has nothing to do with home inspection. So I'm going to digress just for a second. But I almost feel like my wife would mock me if I tried being romantic at this point.
She's like, "What's wrong with you?"
Well, I have this feeling because I will tell you, it was a couple months ago. We were out somewhere, a new area of Houston, and we were coming outside of a restaurant, and I opened the car door for her. And she got in and closed the door. And I go around and get in my side, and she goes, "You have never opened a car door for me. What's going on?"
Really?
What you need.
Yeah. She
'Cause
goes,
you
"What's
weren't
going
born-
on?"
You weren't born in the South, right? You were born elsewhere.
Yeah. elsewhere.
west.
Yeah,
Elsewhere.
it wasn't the South. I'll just say that. And it just made me feel like, it was not even considered or perceived as a romantic gesture. So, in her defense, I did say, well, we were in a bad area, so I thought maybe it'd be better if I just opened the door for you and keep an eye out. So maybe I was partly to blame with that. But that's why I think she would mock me with it. So nonetheless, good for you. Be romantic all you want, but I know most women, are okay with that. So let's talk about meeting the marketing maven over here. And that's an interesting story, too. And again, quick little recap, because I know we have just a couple minutes left. But it's a story you met as business first and then turned into this, right?
Go
Yes.
for it.
Oh, I get to tell it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
my voice is kind of going out.
I was going to say, we're giving him a little break.
Well, bless the heart of my poor realtor. When we first started looking for our house, I was about 8 months pregnant and ready to move about 4 months before that. But we had her show us about 52 houses in the span of 2 weeks. And come to find out, we were her first transaction, so she really didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. And come to find out, 5 or 6 houses is kind of the considerate thing to have your realtor show you. So I felt bad and had been doing photography for a while before that. So as a thank you, I gave her a gift certificate for her to come and bring her family and have some pictures done and some wall portraits, and that would be on me. And rather than use it for herself, she used it for her second buyer, which was Will and his family. So started photographing babies.
There you go. Which, by the way, I put your name out there for a few referrals, just so you know,
Oh, thank
for
you.
photographing babies, because people are asking specifically for that.
Yes.
So I'm like, why not? Why not do that? All right, folks, we're about to go into our first break, and we will be back, of course, with the ill but still present Will Meisgates and Cheyenne Sprouse of Redfish Inspections. We're going to talk a little bit about communication and business building. We kind of approached that last show with Will, and I thought that was kind of an interesting topic to go on because the formation of his business and the evolution of it just seems to be fascinating to me. But again, it's a success story at this time.
Absolutely.
I don't see it changing, but I can't talk about next. I'm not Nostradamus. Anyway, folks, you're listening to the Bring It Home Radio Show. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Now, so I hope you like the fact that you get to hear my intro twice in the same show. That's always a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It's a snazzy intro.
It
I
is. I'm
like
getting
it.
everybody used to it. When you hear that music, you know what show's coming on. Plain and simple. All right, folks, you're listening to the Bring It Home Radio Show. I'm your host and a realtor. This is John Wilkinson with Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. And with me today are Will Meisgates and Cheyenne Sprouse of Redfish Inspections. Good morning again, you two.
Hello
morning.
again.
We kind of took a trip down memory lane before, and it's always fun going back that way to there. But let's bring you up to speed on some things. First off, how many of you out there have actually gone to Facebook and looked up Redfish Inspections? If you haven't, you need to. Why? Because there's always some good videos there for you to of Will's exploits out in the field. That's what I call them, Will's exploits. But you know what? They're so educational and informational. I don't see a lot of inspection companies doing this, unless not on a basis to where they're really kind of educational in the sense. I've really enjoyed watching the things about new construction, particularly when it comes to roofing part of things, because those are areas most consumers don't really get up on. Mm-hmm. They think they would like to really want to, but let's face it, they're really not going to, and the inspector needs to. And I can't tell you how many inspectors, and I don't know if there's a line, which I'm sure there's a safety line that you want to cross, but I don't know. I don't see too many videos of the inspectors up on the roof, in a as-is situation, not a stage situation, and let alone just on a roof, telling people this is what you need to look out for, and this is why you want an inspection and inspectors that will do this kind of work. And that always means a lot to me. So some of the recent stuff you've posted on there, I wondered if you can kind of recap a little bit, because it is educational.
Sure. Actually, speaking of roofs, yesterday we were doing an inspection for an investor. He was buying his 5th house in this particular subdivision. And so they actually wrote a really kind review, and so I'll just read it out. So very thorough. They even got on the roof. We've had inspectors in the past inspect the roof from the ground. I think they did a great job. I would use them again. This was a 1-story house, very flat roof. And I'm not necessarily advocating that every inspector has to walk every single roof, because that's not true.
Right.
It really comes down to your comfort level. For me, I like to have my hands on. But I tell all my inspectors, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't go up there, because you're more important than, the fee that we get in order to inspect a house. And so, my priority is to make sure that they go back to their families. And so we use different technologies if we can't walk the roof. But if we can, then, I prefer having hands-on. You can see different things. You can touch the shingles, for example, make sure if they're sealed or not in the valleys, which you can't do if you have, you're using a drone or an extension pole with the GoPro camera, and we use both.
Do you have drones?
Yep.
Okay, I was going to actually ask about that because
Uh-huh.
I've never. I mean, the houses that I know you've been out to, Ryan, you've been able to walk on the roofs unless it's been raining or something.
Yeah, if I'm the one doing the inspection, I'd say probably 98% of the time I walk the roofs. And if I don't walk them, it's because it's either too high, too steep, or there's no reason to it. You can see it from the ground and the shingles are shot, and there's no point.
No point in finding that
Yeah.
every little detail about it when the roof just is
Yeah,
not in good
I had
condition.
one instance where the client absolutely wanted us to walk the roof, and I told him there's no point. One, it's raining outside, so nobody's going to ever walk the roof. Two, you have roof leaks, so you've got water coming through in the attic, so the roof has something going on. You just need to get a roofer to come out and fix it.
Right.
And they absolutely wanted me to walk the roof, and I said, sorry, I'm not going to do it. And so we got into a little bit of a debate, and I showed them, and we walked around in the attic. And I typically don't allow people to go up in the attic with us just because of liability, but I showed them, you've got 3 different leaks. You don't need me to walk the roof, and it's raining outside anyway.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. Safety's got to be first with this.
Absolutely. And so we do have a drone. The thing with the drone, if it's way too windy or if it's raining, you can't use it. And so what I've found actually a lot more useful is an extension pole. And so we have one that goes up 30 feet or 35 feet, and I'm about to buy one that goes 42 feet. And we have a GoPro camera on it, and those are for like 4-story houses that has no access except if you have a helicopter or a cherry picker. And so we're still able to inspect the roof at the roof level with this extension pole. And so, Granted, we can't touch the shingles and things like that, but it's a lot better than most people who would completely disclaim the roof.
Now, let me ask you this. First off, I think you're absolutely right about that. I mean, we, as real estate agents, when we're with clients, I do my due diligence. If I can find out an age of a roof, whether it's on disclosure or there's a windstorm certificate, I always look up that stuff as much as I can first. Try to find out. You'd be surprised at how many owners that fill out a seller's disclosure do not know the age of their roof.
Yep.
It's just amazing, which kind of tells you it was probably an original roof, but you can't always assume that. The other thing that, but to go back to your point, just from visualization, you can pretty much go out there, and if there's certain styles of roof that you can kind of tell this is not a recent job, or
Yeah.
it's maybe original. You may be guessing maybe it was replaced 5 years after it was put in, but you can generally tell if the condition. You can actually see the granules on a lot of the shingling that's out there, and if you don't even see that, or you see bare spots, there's an issue there to begin with as well. And so we don't climb up on the roofs. Just imagine having your kind of knowledge, which I'll be honest, I do learn a lot from your videos.
Well,
so
thank you. That's the whole
I do
point.
use that out there, not so they're not going to use your service, because they will. I never tell them to take my word on an inspection
Yeah.
items, but it's certainly good to have that information to give to people. So, but the visual observation, it doesn't have to be tactile, is basically what we're getting at. But it's great to have people that are old school kicking it like you. You want to touch it if you can.
Yes.
You want to know it's going to be out there, and you know what you're doing. I mean, it's you've put on roofs, you've
Yep.
done construction, so you know what these materials should be like. How do you know? Are you able to look at a roofing shingle and say that's a 20-year or 30-year, or is that's kind of subjective?
Are you talking about how old it is or what type of shingle
What
it
type
is?
of shingle?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's typically, if you have what we call a 3-tab shingle, that's going to be just a 15-year shingle, 10 to 15 years. And then if you have an architectural shingle, so where you have there's still 3 tabs, but you have multiple layers on it, that's going to be 25 to 30-year shingles.
Okay. All right. So are they sold in like with that, or are they just 3-tab and then they just layer them, or are they just sold already layered?
they're sold like that. They're called architectural because they look a lot nicer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. That's interesting to consider.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And the drawback about this area is that we get hurricanes. The great thing
Just
is
a
that
little drawback.
the great thing is we get hurricanes, and so it makes it easy for me to kind of guesstimate how old the roof is. And my son being born 2 weeks before Hurricane Ike hit us
Yeah, wow.
helps me a lot. So I can tell anybody, your roof looks like it's newer than 9 years old, or it's older than 9 years old. Or, if the roof is 15, 20 years old, you can say, hey, it's gone through 2-3 hurricanes already. It might be time to change the shingles.
Yeah, and I have specifically now that, and granted, Harvey wasn't a big wind event for us as much as it was water-wise, but I think now with those two impact, you certainly have that claim, especially at this point, recent claim.
Yep.
And I say 2008 to 2017 is pretty recent for two big storms to hit. So, okay, well, I think that's, I just want to say, I'm always fascinated by roofs. Why? One, because we don't get up there often.
Yeah.
So that's why I appreciate that.
I think the one other roof, and that's a lot of people don't have the training. So this is interesting. In order to walk a roof, you really should get training on how to walk a roof. And one of them, in particular, like clay tile or concrete tile roofs, you can walk on them. You just have to learn how to walk on them.
Do you see a lot of them here?
No, we
I would say
inspect
here I don't
it.
see too many.
I should have taken a video because we just did a really big house last week that had concrete tiles.
Oh, wow.
And once you got up on the roof, you had missing tiles that had slipped, cracked tiles. So you had, I really should have taken a video of that. I'm kicking myself now.
Now that I brought it up,
exactly.
in your misery, I
Yeah.
get to add to that.
So we probably do, in our area, I'd say maybe one tiled roof a month, if that. So, I mean, it's really not that frequent.
Yeah.
But, I've laid concrete tiles, I've laid clay tiles, and so I've learned how to walk on them. And yes, you can do it. You just have to know how to do it.
I can imagine that's a lot more dangerous in a lot of ways. Plus, they're cracking, the crack effect. I mean, when you step on them, they could be brittle.
No.
So they're not any more dangerous? You're just saying you need to learn how to walk them. Why?
Well, because if you don't walk on them properly, then you'll crack them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I was saying. It was a cracking thing. It wasn't a safety thing. I mean, it could be.
It could be. You could still slip down. And if the roofer didn't install the tiles properly, you could have a tile, I guess, that slips, and then, you're going down.
Yeah,
So
just living in Miami, most of the houses that I had lived in there, I could definitely can tell you they had the barrel, clay ones. It's kind of weird that over there, we almost have the same temperature, humidity kind of stuff here in Texas. I just wonder if that was a stylistic choice of things. But most of the houses come with those tiles over there. Or I've even seen flat roof tar.
Yeah, I hate those more.
In Miami. I've only seen businesses with them here. I haven't seen many.
No, it's a bad
homes.
idea. Any flat roofs are just bad idea, especially in the Houston area where it rains a lot.
Yeah, say from a standing water standpoint, there's no doubt. See it. Business-wise, and it is cheaper to fix or repair. If you find a hole, you can fix it, whether the damage underneath may be more extensive. But
well, speaking of that, we do commercial infrared roof scans. And so we go at when it gets dark and where you don't have the solar loading anymore, and you wouldn't get any reflection. So it helps us, do a good thermal scan of the commercial roof, and we can tell you where you've got water intrusion.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, we might talk about that when we come back a little bit, because I want to see how that can really be. But I'm picturing it in my head. I'm just wondering if we can explain it well enough. So let me see if my picture is right. All right, folks, we are going to take our second little break, and Cheyenne is just all into the computer. She's just leaving it all on
She's sharing.
She's sharing. She's sharing. I like that she's sharing. Sharing is caring from Cheyenne. All right, folks, you're listening to the Bring It Home Radio Show, and we'll be back with Will Meisgades and Miss Cheyenne Sprouse, the computer maven. Hey, welcome back. Part 3 of this fantastic show with Redfish Inspections.
Numéro 3.
Yes. How are we doing internationally? So I know this is a little strange, but are we inviting them now to get to vinyldraftradio.com to listen to us?
Well, it went to Finland, it went to France, and that's all I had time to do.
Ah, okay.
I've been talking all along.
I know. I've been keeping Will busy while Cheyenne's playing around. We need to just give Cheyenne all your Facebook contacts.
The screen is just,
Yeah, it's all on
Pac-Man.
there. All right. Well, we were talking about roofs, and we talked about how important they are to inspect. And I know when we left the last break, we kind of talked a little bit about the thermal infrared that you use,
Yep.
and the fact now that it's you go back at night. I take it
Yes.
because it's less.
So the reason why you want to do that is because you've got the sun is shining on the roof during the day, and that could give us false positive with the thermal imager to where we see something that's really not there. It's just a reflection, for example. And so what you want to do, you also want to make sure that you've got this solar loading to where the roof is, soaking up all of this the heat from the sun, and then it's going to radiate it back at night. And so that's what we're looking for. When it's dark, then you don't have any more solar loading. You don't have any reflections. You don't have anything like that.
Right.
You
What's
just
hot
have-
is hot.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep. And so that allows us to see, roof leaks, and mainly that's the reason why we get called out, is to find roof leaks on commercial buildings, which makes it a whole lot easier to fix a small patch before it becomes a big problem.
Okay. Something to keep in mind, folks. Your inspection company needs to have an arsenal of tools for different types of business, properties. So whether that's,
Commercial, residential,
and new construction, it's
Yep,
all there.
Absolutely. So we like our gadgets, that's for sure.
I know. Any new gadgets on the horizon, and we don't want to share that. I got to look.
You got
from,
the new one. Well, it's the same one. We just got another.
We got a
Sewer
second
scope.
sewer scope, so now I've got the two teams that go out with sewer scopes. So instead of having to share it, we're able to help more people that way.
You ever think about sharing a sewer video?
I've thought it many times, and I forget to record it every time.
Well,
so.
it's not that you're not busy, because I know that
Yeah.
you're busy doing something else on there. So, something to think about. I personally think that it's fascinating what people throw away or put down the wrong. Like I just saw, and again, maybe it's me being weird, but in
Never.
like they show a kitchen sink, and they're saying just in a little thing, they call it a P trap, the little
Yep.
hook shaped thing at the bottom, and they're like, be careful what you're scooping down into there. I mean, you don't want to put like macaroni and anything, because what happens is it kind of sits at the bottom, and then the more water it gets, the more it expands. It becomes a sludge, and then you start feeling. So I'm always kind of like, and now I don't even have kids there, so I'm like the sink police, because I don't even have kids at my house, and I'm like, who's scraping pasta into the sink?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you not know what this is? And I always want to direct them to a video. Well, I'm telling you,
We'll make
give
one
me some
because
sewer videos.
I tell you, Nick put a whole thing of rice into the garbage disposal one time, and it like exploded our garbage disposal. It just got in there and expanded, and so now we don't have a garbage disposal. We just
and Nick
rigged
are
it.
just a quagmire of, like, you wouldn't. What's going on over there, Will? Like you're like,
hot
I don't
mess.
know. It's
What they do in their own home, I don't care.
I know they're like we advise people often not to do this and this, but at our house, this is why we're
That's
telling
what
you
happens
shouldn't.
when we're
Yeah.
allowed to cook.
We are the example of why you should not do this thing. So literally, you destroyed basically some plumbing in your because the rice
It's fun.
expanded. Just one of those things. I would have loved to seen a video of that though.
That would have been pretty funny, yeah. Yeah, we've seen socks down there. We've seen underwear. We've seen people flush weird things. Rocks. Yeah.
Just you float
pair
down
of
here.
eyes, pair of eyes. What you're
Yeah.
going through, I'd freak out.
Cockroaches, rats.
I can see that. And here's the thing about the sewer line people don't realize, and maybe they do, but it doesn't just like mystically go somewhere and just disappear. It's a line.
Yes.
It's a tube. And things can get in that line, because remember, things come out of that line.
Yep.
It's not goes directly from your house, one log tube to a treatment facility. It doesn't work like that. Wait, why is she laughing?
Just looking at his face. Go ahead.
Am I being too random? Oh, okay. I'm just saying, most people think, hey, a flush, I don't have to worry about it, but that's not true.
Yes.
And that's why a sewer scope's probably really important, because honestly, I probably want to know if anybody's flushing underwear
Yeah,
out of my house,
as
because
well.
I'd be worried about that, because it wouldn't be me, and I'd be like, well, yeah, who's flushing underwear? It's just
Yeah.
me and my wife. What's going on? But those kind of things, they animals can crawl up in those sewer lines.
Yeah.
You can't-
Have y'all
I mean,
ever come across a snake or anything?
Not
coming out?
yet. I can't.
cockroaches
fear.
and mice.
Yes, I can't wait for the day that I come up with like an alligator
Yeah.
in a 4-inch
That-
pipe.
Well, you know what? If anybody does, that's going to be Cheyenne. Apparently, she's doing everything we're saying you should avoid. So I would venture to guess the underwear and sock thing is happening at your house.
No, but
Not
we
that you
flushed,
know.
we flushed a pen one time, and I thought, it'll be fine. But it wasn't.
Why would you?
It fell out of my pocket, and there was no way I was going in after it.
She would rather pay a phenomenal amount of
For
money.
a plumber
it
to come
was.
out and get the pin out.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's ask the question. What's your line? We know Cheyenne's is a pen. She won't even reach in for a pen. But at what
If
point?
it's keys, maybe. you
Okay,
know.
wait, no. I don't want a maybe. I want a definite. Is it going to take for Cheyenne to put her hand in a non-flush toilet to
$1 million.
get? You let your phone just sit in there.
Yeah. If,
I believe that actually.
you forget my mother-in-law worked for AT&T. I just, insurance-free phone.
Yeah, but you still got to pay.
Not much.
You got to get an Apple phone too.
Yeah.
I'm
ask my
Let's not
boss.
even go there. Hold on,
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's your line?
I-
Where do you go? I'll let that go.
I really don't have a line.
You'd be like, I'm just gonna get it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Good. You're a man's man.
There's very, very few things that gross me out. I've done pretty gross things.
And of course, you'd be safe about this. As I'm thinking, I normally shake Will's hand. Now I'm like, okay.
Oh, John's like, where are the sanitary wipes again?
Yeah. Didn't wipe the hands. I wiped all the microphones and the headsets, but I did not wipe the hands. I need to no. But I think I'm like you. But I'm a more of a laziness type. Like I'm like, I don't want to bother. But I would have a line. I think in terms of where it would. I'd say no. I have to do it. I would get my phone out. I tried flushing it a couple times because that's not going to stop it up. But Cheyenne, you're just it's.
We shouldn't be
There are
homeowners.
things, yeah. I'm gonna say you just need to be a renter. No, just kidding.
I do.
As long as it's not my property.
There you go. I shouldn't say that. So because we mentioned your last name, so now people are going to be looking out for your last name on applications. No, you are a homeowner. It's your house. You can do what you want. Just remember, we're just trying
Hey,
to
they've
protect
done a
you.
lot of renovations lately on it.
Yeah.
Put in new floors, painted all the walls. They have like this climbing wall.
We did. We built a rock climbing
Yeah.
wall
Did
in the
you?
boys'
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
Oh, did you? That
so
is
to get in the
awesome.
bunk beds, they have to climb the rock wall.
Way to go! I love when I see parents involved with the health of their kids and the challenging of the kids. It's I live vicariously through that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't grow up with that. I think we tried to do the best we could, but I never did a rock wall in my kids' room.
Yeah, we did that, and then Shiloh has one of the, what are they called? It's a swinging chair from Renfest. Have you seen those?
Yes.
And it hangs from the ceiling.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, she has it in her room. So it's pretty
Look
cool.
at you.
That's what they got for Christmas. They got fun stuff for their rooms.
That's nice. That is awesome.
So they can spend more time in their rooms.
Yes.
Yes. You need to keep them in the room.
Just go climb the wall.
Go, Clyde.
You know what I did see on Facebook recently was a post where the people put a rock climbing wall on their staircase.
Yes.
So the kids can go up the side of the wall like they were climbing up, even though, if you were older people like myself, you can use the steps. You just imagine trying to rock climb. That would be it. No stairs whatsoever, just a rock wall climb up. You'd be in such good shape.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a thought. You're getting your kids in shape. Good for you. Good for you.
I'm keeping them entertained and distracted.
So now, how do you top it? That's the thing.
I don't know,
How do you
because we
top
did
it?
Disney the year before.
Yeah, so you can't go back to socks and underwear this
Yeah.
Christmas. It just doesn't work that way. You can only go up.
Well, they all flush it down the toilet, so forget about that.
Well, that's why they would need it. Get them disposable. Get them the biodegradable underwear and socks. I don't even know if they make socks that way, but I know they make
those.
Yeah,
but
Ew. Anyway.
So many levels of wrong.
I know. Will and I are both thinking the same thing, and we're just kind of looking at Cheyenne. Just, anyway, the good news is, and the bad news, I guess how you look at it is, we have about 30 seconds left in this segment, and then we're on to our final. So I will just kind of tease a little bit. I want to come back. Cheyenne wants to talk about communicating effectively, and in particular, real estate agents. But everybody's free to listen. We encourage it. And I want to hear what this is too, because I hadn't heard the title of the book that she's going to be talking
Really?
about.
Interesting.
No, but maybe you told me the wrong title. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Probably not. All right, folks, we're going to be back with the dynamic duo of Redfish Inspections, particularly with Cheyenne talking to us about communication. Be back in a minute. Welcome back. Sad to say this is the last segment of our show, but I'm happy to say I think we have an overall consensus at this point about the intro music.
We like it.
Yeah, it's head shaking, head bobbing. And you know why it's important, why I wanted to get this changed by now? We are officially at our 1-year anniversary at Final Draft Radio.
Aww.
I think, something to be proud of. I was going to put together a video collage of everything that's going on, but I'm not as talented as getting, literally you have to watch every show to find highlights and then put it in a 2-minute thing for a year.
It takes time.
So I'm trying to, but I do know one of the clips I want to have. I had one show where Lori had some allergies going on, and pretty much every 10 seconds she was going. I love every time we show Lori on that video, she would just different ways of her
Bless
going.
Lori.
Yeah, Lori. I love you, Lori, but that's the biggest show I remember with Lori. Besides last week's show, which I thought was a fantastic show when we had a person that does credit repair on the phone with us.
Oh, that was cool.
Now, speaking of giving something back, this is, again, for real estate agents mostly, but I think anybody can listen to it and you can devise your own thing. Cheyenne wanted to share, what's the name of the book that you're going to share this from?
7 Levels of Communication.
7 Levels of Communication. Now, here's my thing with, and I'm just saying this in advance so nobody can, come at me after this. First off, a lot of this information that's out there about being a great speaker or organizing yourself and all that stuff, the Zig Ziglars, remember, they've been around for a while, and it all really comes down to not just the information, but it really comes down to how people talk about it and how they take it in. I don't get anything from a Zig Ziglar. I don't get, that's not the way it works for me. The information is great, but I hear it recycled through different mediums all the time. It really comes down to the person presenting it and how I take it. That's how I feel. So with that being said, not to put any pressure on you, Cheyenne.
No pressure at all.
No. What I'm saying here is, first off, I really enjoyed listening to Cheyenne, so it's okay. I got a feeling no matter what she says, it could be total crap.
We're going to laugh at it. We're going to enjoy it.
It could be total crap at this point. I don't think it will be, but it will be done in a way that I would enjoy it
With
because
finesse.
Cheyenne. I wouldn't go that far, but I certainly wouldn't go that far. So talk to us. Obviously you got fascinated by this enough to say, hey, let me share this with some realtor friends. Maybe we need it.
Well, definitely.
I think a lot of us, me personally, probably. But.
Well, realtors especially, because it's written by a guy who was a terrible realtor to begin with. He was struggling and he really couldn't get around his own roadblocks. So when I started working for Redfish, Will gave me a stack of books and goes, read these. And so that was one of the books. And even though we're not a realtor, we are in a realtor-like business, and we associate with you guys by choice. Yay. But the book is fantastic because it walks people through, you've gone through kindergarten all the way through college and high school and college, and it's structured. At this part of the day, you're going to be in this class, and you may have some choice over when you get into college what times you're going to take classes, but these are the available times for you. Well, then you start a business or you go into real estate and you're having no structure to your day, and you go, okay, well, now my business is running my life, or I'm not getting a very good return on what I'm invested into it. So this book breaks down ways to communicate to your clients, to keep little touch points with them, just to make sure that they feel valued, they know that you're around. But it helps you to look at your day-to-day life from your personal aspect to your business aspect and put it together in a way that's just very effective, and that you can not just support yourself but have a thriving and growing business. So we teach a fantastic series of classes based off of those 7 levels of communication. So that's your touch points, your one-on-one meetings, and all. So
and you guys are holding those classes?
We do. We can bring them to the office. We can also host them at our office.
Got any scheduled so far?
Well, actually, I have a Buffini class coming up here next week. So if anybody's interested, follow us on our Redfish page.
That's one of those things too. I'm just going to throw it in there. I love the concept and idea of saying, hey, do this. But I've heard it before and I've done it before. It's my choice to use it or not. Hearing it from somebody else is not going to make a big impression on me. But what you're saying is absolutely correct. And the biggest thing about that is I would go to a class like that, at least initially, because I want to find out, is there something new going right? Because obviously if I've heard it before and I'm not doing it, it's not going to change. You got to find, like, have you guys heard of the book Raving Fans? That book, I can say, that's probably that and Fish Tales. The two books that are about, working with people and making fans of people. And, those are the only two books that I can tell you in my, 40 years of life that have made an impact besides like Cat in the Hat.
Oh.
You weren't over
Trying
there.
to
I almost
spill
spilled it
things
again. So the bottom line with it is that I would go because, hey, is there going to be something new for me to learn there? At least at one point, that's what I look for. Some of these things that you go out and you listen to, if you've heard them before, you're probably not going to. No matter what Cheyenne tells us, we're not going to change our mind with that. But only because you have chosen not to use it.
Right.
That's your choice to do. But this I haven't read. And I would like to probably get in on that.
I'll get you one.
We'll see. No. I don't look for free gifts, though I still am waiting for a Redfish coffee mug.
We don't have coffee
I
mug.
gave him a hoodie, I gave him a beanie hat, but all he wants is the coffee mug.
No, you had not saying you have to give me anything, and I've never really kind of come out and asked, but I do drink coffee all the time, and just
Well,
imagine.
so
So-
you have your fancy one that has our Bringing It Home logo on it. I mean, would you replace it with our Redfish one and just rock it all the time?
If it had a cap, a little sippy cap, because I
So-
spill
Okay.
coffee
Hey,
apparently.
don't feel bad. My wife is still waiting on hers as well because she never did get hers personalized.
Oh, shit. Well, and I got mine personalized and they spelled my name wrong. So I gave it away.
Was it spouse?
No, they put Cheyenne, but the lady's daughter's name is also Cheyenne, but spelled differently. And she spelled it her daughter's way.
Yeah. So to go back to the book, every new hire that I've had, I've actually given that book to read, and because it helps you change your mind or see things a little bit differently, and every one of us. I agree with you, John, that we won't necessarily catch on to certain things or we won't do or apply certain things.
Right, sounds good, but
Yeah.
that's what you do.
Until, this is the caveat, until you're faced with the situation where you have to do it. And so, like, I'm in a mastermind group and I meet quarterly, and a lot of the questions that are asked during that quarterly meeting are the same that we've been asking for the last 4 years. Because each one of us company, we're not at the same level. But once we get to a certain level, we're like, okay, I know I've asked this question before, but I wasn't ready to hear the answer. Now I'm ready. Now I'm open to it. Now I'm going to do something about it. And so what this book does, it just pretty much tries to show you a different way of looking at things and doing business differently. And it's after I read that book that I really changed my mind from being a technician, home inspector, to becoming a business owner. And not that anything is wrong with being a technician or right with being a business owner. It's just different philosophy.
Right. And I agree. I mean, maybe it's a matter of again, the information could be regurgitated, but it has a hook that appeals to you that makes you kind of go, aha, that aha moment.
Yep.
I do agree with that, but I will tell you that most of the time for me, and this is just me, not that, I don't want to learn that. I mean, I've been told this is what you should do, and it just is not something I'm doing,
Yeah.
and that's my choice.
Yep.
Even though it may be a matter of I want to do this, and then eventually you forget about it. And so that's why I think it's important to keep open to it. But again, I can't tell you. I've been to X number of Buffini, X number Zig Ziglar, Lou Holtz. I can't even stand listening to, but I actually went to one of his things. I would just tell you, it is about how it's delivered to you and how it's presented, how you took it, and then ultimately it's in your hands. Do you want to use this information? So I don't go to many of the same things,
Yep.
like those leadership quizzes. I'll be honest. I did one yesterday. And the good news is I'm no different as a leader today than I would be than I was when I was a restaurant manager. I can't say that's good news. Some people may disagree with that. But what I'm saying is that the information isn't changing.
The presentation is.
Yeah, and it's just about the presentation. And before you know it, it's like, oh, you're this type of leader. Anyway.
Well, that's the interesting thing with like this Buffini class. Like, I'm not really familiar with him. This is my first time experiencing his live stream,
Exactly.
but I've had a lot of realtors come up to me and say, hey, we've loved him. Can we get some, a class based on that? So teaming up with Joe Duffin to see what this class is about. So it's just like he
Certainly
says, different points when you
interesting.
become receptive to it. I'm not
Yeah.
like a fan of Tony Robbins. I'm not the feel-good guys
I
that are
just
always like
laugh.
that. You have to have somebody tell you that you're awesome, you're great, pay me $1,500
Yeah.
to have you walk on coals and burn your feet kind of deal.
All right, so we have just a few seconds left. I'm going to say one thing. If you got one person that I've really been into lately because of his approach, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yep.
If you haven't been following
I like
him,
Gary V.
get into that. I certainly think you can do real estate that way. And I have Dorsey already kicking me out, and I got at least 5 seconds left. Folks, thanks for joining us. This is John with Bringing It Home, and I have been with Will and Cheyenne from Redfish Inspections. Give them a call, www.redfishinspections.com.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Bringing It Home with John Wilkinson on Vinyl Draft Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook at Bringing It Home Radio.